Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the session. We thank you all so much for taking the time to be here. My name's Jane Rajan, and I'm a marketing analyst for ServiceDesk Plus, and I work with ManageEngine, and I will be presenting the session today. So, welcome to the third session of Masterclass 2021 Season 2. I hope you guys were part of our previous Masterclass series. And you also learned about the other integrations that we spoke about in our previous sessions. Now, in this session, we're going to be talking about Service Desk Plus and its integrations with the different Microsoft services. We will be sending a recording of this masterclass to all attendees in a couple of days. So just hold on for a few days and you should have your recording. And if you have any feedback or any questions, please write to any one of these email addresses that are on your screen right now. So you can write to me at genra.john@zohocorp.com or hello@servicedeskplus.com, and we'd be more than happy to help you out with any of your queries. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's jump into our session for today. So today, the whole session is going to revolve around Service Desk Plus and its integrations. Now, let's just lay a quick foundation for why these integrations are important. So, I'm sure most of you in your life, right, when in your work experience, you would have used collaboration tools or you are using collaboration tools. So, when I mean these collaboration tools, I mean all the productivity apps like Microsoft Teams and all the other various applications that help you collaborate with your colleagues, your and with people in your organization, right? So now, when we look back to 2020, the pandemic of it shook the way most organizations worked, right? So pretty much all organizations were forced to work from home, and for the organizations that were familiar with collaboration tools, it was pretty simple for them, but because they could just use their collaboration tools and continue working together with employees, and it wasn't much of a major shift for them. But for those organizations that didn't use it, it was a huge shift, right? So the traditional sense of how an office worked completely changed pretty much overnight. So your usual coffee talks where you can just walk up to your colleagues and ask them for things, or even better, the best way was when you walk up to your sysadmins and ask them, hey, my laptop isn't working, or I'm not able to connect to the VPN, and so on, right? That was so much easier for requesters because they could just go and get their work done. But with this remote work scenario, everything changed. So now most organizations have two sides of a coin, right? So on one side, you have the business apps and tools for your productivity, which is we have a couple of examples on the screen right now, like Microsoft Teams, Outlook, the calendar, and so on. And on the other side, we have the ITSM tools for service delivery, which is equally important for any organization, right? So your IT team makes sure that your employees' workstations, their laptops are working, and that they are able to connect to their business applications and tools for effective collaboration. Now, the challenge is how do we so the challenge now is how do we connect both of these workspaces, because on their own they are completely separate workspaces, right? One to collaborate with employees to get work done, and another to communicate with the IT team to get their incidents fixed and their service requests delivered, and so on, right? So how do we bring both of these workspaces together to create one cohesive workspace for your employees? Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is to make sure that your employee experience is really good, so that their work is not affected, and ultimately the organization's business continuity is not affected in any way. So the solution here is to deliver great employee experience through frictionless workflows enabled by contextual integrations. So today we're going to be seeing how these Service Desk Plus integrations and Microsoft application integrations work together to help you build an efficient and an intuitive workflow for your employees so that they're not caught in the middle jumping between applications, their business applications and their IT applications. And again, see, we are not just going to be looking at it from a requester point of view, we're also going to be looking at how these tools can transform and enhance the way your technicians work, your IT service desk supervisors keep track of things that are happening, and so on. So, the bottom line is, how are we going to improve the quality of life experience for technicians, employees, for requesters, and technicians? Okay, so these are the integrations that we are going to be looking at today. So we have Microsoft Teams, we have actionable messages for Outlook, the Outlook add-in for Service Desk Plus, Microsoft Calendar, and we are also going to see how you can enable single sign-on just to add to the seamless experience of your employees so that they can log into Service Desk Plus using their Azure credentials as well. So now let's go ahead and look at the first integration for today, which is Service Desk Plus and Microsoft Teams. Okay, so I'm sure most of you are familiar with Microsoft Teams. It is a hugely popular software which is really helpful for collaboration, and it's intuitive and it's easy to use because it's all in chat windows. You can set up your teams and so on, right? So, with this integration for Microsoft Teams, you can actually bring in Service Desk Plus ticket operations and a variety of Service Desk operations into your Microsoft Teams application. So let me just give you a quick example of how this is useful for your employees. So now let's say Sam. Okay, so Sam is somebody who is working on a very urgent task, right? And I'm sure most of you are aware of how difficult it is to work on, especially urgent tasks when you're in a remote work environment, right? Just getting hold of people is really hard. So Sam is now caught doing such an urgent task, and he's working on Teams, trying to get everything done, getting the team together to make sure their task is completed on time. And as Sam is doing this, suddenly Sam realizes that he's unable to connect to the VPN, and as a result he cannot get his work done because, let's say, one of his important tasks is to connect to the VPN to access a particular software or an application or something along that lines, right? So now we have a Sam who is really annoyed because, one, he has an urgent task to complete, and two, that his VPN, he's not able to connect to the VPN. Now in a traditional way where we don't have this integration, what Sam has to do is he has to let go of all of his work, and then he needs to open a new window, and then he has to go log into his IT service desk, access his self-service portal, and then create a ticket to inform the service desk that he's unable to connect to his VPN. Or let's say the service desk already has a solution for this particular ticket, for this particular issue. Then Sam has to go and search for the solution and then resolve it himself. But the problem here is we see that it's all very disconnected, right? So we have Sam who has to open a new tab, create a login, and then get the details, or share the details about his particular ticket. And this just completely jumbles his workflow, and now his mind is away from his task, right? So now imagine, with this integration, Sam can just easily go ahead and and he can create tickets right from his chat window. So using a variety of different commands, Sam can create a ticket right from his Teams chat window, and just like that, his ticket has been logged into the service desk and a technician can help him out. Now we see that Sam does not have to jumble between different tabs, right? It's all seamlessly done for him. But that is from the point of view of a requester. And we see how easy life is for him now that he can create tickets from his chat window. But now let's see how this benefits your technicians as well. So now your technicians, they too don't have to constantly work on the Service Desk Plus application. They too can do their other work using the Teams application. Let's say they have other collaborative work, they can do it on the Teams application, and they can perform ticket actions like adding notes, replying to tickets, picking up tickets, or sharing them. So these are really simple tasks that he can perform. And the good thing is, the technician, he too doesn't have to jump between his application. He doesn't have to go to his Service Desk Plus instance just to add a note to a particular ticket. He can do it right from his Teams application. So again, this is trying to make their workflow a little less jumbled and improving the quality of lives for your technicians and your requesters as well. And not only that, with the team integration, you can also see your pending approvals and take action for them as well. So now, how do we set up this integration? So there's one major thing that you need to keep track of throughout this entire integration, and that is that to set up all of these integrations, you need these two important roles for your account. So first of all, you need to be an SD admin in Service Desk Plus, and you need to have the Azure Global Administrator or Azure Applications Administrator role for your particular account through for your Service Desk Plus, Microsoft Teams, and the Azure portal. So only if you have all of these roles can you go ahead and configure these integrations. So these are the operations that are supported, like I showed you earlier in those screenshots. Those operations, you can perform them using commands from your Microsoft Teams applications. And not only that, you can access a couple of Service Desk Plus modules as well. So you can see the Service Desk Plus request list view from your Teams applications and also access your solutions as well. Cool. So we've seen all of this theoretically. Now let's go ahead and look at all of these integrations in Microsoft Teams and Service Desk Plus. So let's quickly jump into Service Desk Plus, and I'm sure this is a screen that all of you would have seen all the time. This is a very familiar view for you. So this is our request list view, and over here you can go ahead and see all the different tickets that are in your service desk. Now let me quickly just go ahead and show you how all of these integrations can be set up. So I'm going to go to setup and then go down to apps and add-ons and then move to integrations. So over here under third party integrations, you can easily come and you can enable all of your integrations from here. To enable Microsoft Teams, you're going to have to click on this over here, and it'll open up a window where you can log into your Microsoft Teams account and configure the integration. So we'll come back here and then I'll talk to you about the other integrations over here as well. So now let's jump to Microsoft Teams and let me show you how all of this works over here. So the first thing you need to do over here is you need to go and add the Service Desk Plus app over here. So just go search for the Service Desk Plus app and enable it. And then over here, you can see your Service Desk Plus cloud integration. So over here, currently we are in this chat window. And over here, if I click on type a question here and select or type a command, we can see that we have all of these different commands over here for us. So we can select the instance that we need. Let me just quickly go ahead and show you how that works. So yeah, let's just wait for it to come. Okay, so we see here if you're using enterprise service management feature of Service Desk Plus, then you can create multiple different instances and work on them. So over here, we're going to be working on the IT help desk. So let me just go ahead and click on that. And my IT help desk instance has been set. So now over here, I can perform a variety of commands. Let me just quickly run through a few commands that we can do. So let me go and view all my requests over here. Oops, let me click enter and then wait for the application to respond. And over here, we can see all the different requests that are there in your Service Desk Plus application. And if we go over here to tickets, we can see the same information is there, is here as well. Now, let me show you how we can create a ticket. So let me just go ahead, create request, and over here within quotation marks, I need to type in the subject. So let's say, let me just give a quick example over here. Wi-Fi is down, and I'm gonna hit enter and wait for this ticket to be created. And over here, I see immediately the ticket is created. So we have the ticket number, which is 489. It says Wi-Fi is down. And if we head over to Service Desk Plus and refresh the screen real quick, let me just make sure everything's good. Cool. We see a ticket is added here. So we have ticket number 489. Wi-Fi is down, and I can click on this, and we see that currently it is not it's not been assigned to any technician. So let's quickly go and fix that. So I don't need to do it right from there. So another thing is you can set up automations in Service Desk Plus to automatically assign the ticket, but I have not set it up right here. So I'm going to show you how your technician, or let's say the IT supervisor, can assign or perform ticket actions right from here. So first of all, we saw how a requester can create a ticket just by typing in the command and then specifying the ticket information like Wi-Fi is down. So over here, let's see the other capabilities that are available. So over here, I see as a technician, I can add a note and save it right over here. Let me give a note, something like Wi-Fi is not working, check the switch or something like that. I can add a note to it. Let's wait for the note to be added. And then currently we saw that ticket has not been assigned to any technician, right? So now let's say this particular technician wants to pick up this ticket. He can just go ahead and select and click on pickup, and let's wait for the okay, and we see that you have picked up the request. So let's go back to Service Desk Plus and click on this particular ticket, and we see the technician has been assigned to this ticket because we just saw the technician picking it up in Teams, right? So we see all of this works seamlessly in real time, right? And the best part is it's not just with this chat, but we also have a bunch of other things you can do as well. So if we click on this home tab over here, we have a couple of different list views that you can configure over here. So currently I have set it up just to show me all my tasks. And right from within my Teams application, I can look at all the tasks that have been assigned to me, and then I can choose to close them. I can add a new task, delete, close, or trigger. So this is pretty much the Service Desk Plus Cloud UI right within your Teams application. Similarly, the request tab over here shows you your request list view. And the cool part is it's not just a list view. You can pretty much do all the things that you can do within Service Desk Plus pretty much right over here regarding your request view. Like I can set it up as a Kanban view. So currently it's in a Kanban view where I have set it up to be arranged according to the priority. So basically, this is a quick way you can get the information that you need without having to jump to Service Desk Plus. And under the Solutions tab, you can actually, or your end users or your technicians can go and search for the solutions from your knowledge base. You can add new solutions, approve solutions, and so on. And again, like I told you, the bottom line is just to make sure all the information you need is easily available right where you are working. So in Sam's case, he's working on Microsoft Teams, and all the information or all the actions that he needs to perform is right within here. So Sam can just move on to the Service Desk Plus Cloud chat window and add his ticket details, and then he can continue working without ever having to log into his self-service portal to do these basic ticket actions. And that's pretty much how the Microsoft Team integration works. So now let's go ahead and look at the next integration, which is actionable messages for Outlook. While Microsoft Teams is really popular and many people use it, it's undeniable that your good old email inbox is still the most popular for most people, right? So a lot of people still work on their email inboxes where they send their emails, they read their emails, and they do all their work within their inboxes itself. So now, how do we make life easy for these people? Is we with actionable messages, we're actually taking pretty a lot of ticket operations right to your emails. And the best part about this is it's not command based emails, right? So you don't have to type in any complicated commands to perform ticket actions. These are all graphical user interface buttons that you just need to click to perform your actions. So over here in this screenshot, we can see that you can add notes, you can resolve requests, view details, and so on just by clicking on these email buttons, right? So now this is one of the capabilities that's available. Another one is the ability to approve or reject tickets from Outlook. So now let me quickly give you an example of how this is useful. So now in certain cases in organization, there are requesters who are set as approvers, right? So you can, in Service Desk Plus itself, you can set up your requesters to be service request approvers and other approvers as well, right? So now let's say these people are not technicians, so they don't need to log into a service desk to their service desk portal all the time, right? So they are people who are going to be accessing their self-service portal only when required, like when they need to raise an incident or when they need to approve any of their requests, right? But now let's say we have Susan who exclusively works on Outlook inbox, right? So she's someone who's not very tech savvy, so she doesn't regularly want to log into her self-service portal because that's very cumbersome for her. Now, if it's one request per week or per day, it's easy, right? She just has to do it once. But now imagine Susan has to approve multiple approvals, right? Let's say she gets about 20 to 30 approvals. And these are not approvals that come immediately, right? They come at various points in the day. So there are multiple times where Susan has to log in, log out of a self-service portal just to approve a request. But with this Outlook add-in for Service Desk Plus, all Susan has to do is just open her email and she can go ahead and approve or reject the request. And not only that, she can add a comment here as well. And the basic ticket information will be shown to her, and if she wants more information, she can click on view details to get a more detailed look at the ticket and the approval that has been sent to her, right? And another capability is with from Outlook, your technicians can pick up tickets as well. So now let's say your technician is currently in his mail inbox and he gets a notification that a ticket has been added to their support group. He can go ahead and pick it up right from here instead of having to jump to Service Desk Plus just to pick up the ticket. So to set up this integration, again, you need the SD admin role and the Azure Global Administrator role. And I can't. This is really important. You need to have these roles to ensure that you can configure and set up this integration. So these are the operations that are supported for actionable messages for our Outlook. So we have the approval. You have approval, you can pick up tickets, you can resolve tickets, and you can also add notes to request right from with the actionable messages for Outlook. So let's go ahead and look how this works in the product. So I'm going to go to so what I'm going to do now is we just create a ticket, right? Wi-Fi is down. So this is a ticket that we created in Teams. So I'm going to use this same ticket to show you how the approval mechanism works for Outlook for actionable messages. So in Service Desk Plus, you can set up approvals to be automatically done, or you can also manually do it. So for our use case, I'm just going to go ahead and manually send an approval. So I'm just going to select the email address and send the approval. So now let's go to this. Let's go to the outbox the Outlook inbox, and over here, let's say this is Susan, right? And right on time, we get this notification which says approval required. So let me go ahead and click on this email. And over here, I see I have these three buttons, right? I can approve the request, I can reject it, or I can view the approval page and get more details. So now let's imagine this is a ticket that requires approval. I'm just going to go ahead and add a comment saying proceed and click on approve. Let's just wait for it. And over here, we see that the approval action has been performed. Now let's go ahead and verify this in Service Desk Plus. So here we get a real-time, a live activity of this request, and we see that this particular ticket has been approved. Now let's just go ahead and refresh this page so that we can see this approval has been granted. So over here, just click on this and we can see that the comment has been added, proceed, and this has been approved. And we see how simple this is, right? So now imagine you're Susan, you're just working on your various emails, you're sending out multiple emails, making sure work is getting done, and you occasionally get this approval email, and all Susan has to do is just go ahead, click approve, and continue on with her work. So we see that we have just like that simplified Susan's workflow, right? So now she does not have to jump between different applications, and we can see how this integration is bringing both your workspaces together to create a cohesive workspace for your employees. And that's pretty much it for actionable messages. Okay, before I forget, let me just go ahead and show you the other actions that you can perform. So over here we have the add command, close task. So whenever a task has been assigned to you, you can go ahead and perform these different actions. And over here we see the add note option, resolve, and view details as well. So that's it for the actionable messages for Outlook. Now let's go ahead and look at our next integration, which is the Microsoft Calendar integration. So I'm sure all of you are very familiar with calendar apps, because I really am familiar with them, because there are multiple meetings, calls, and even webinars that I need to give. And as a result, I need to schedule all of them so that I'm aware of the different tasks that I'm performing, and I can ensure that um, there are no events that are colliding, and as a result, I'm not missing out on any meetings or calls. So similarly, this pandemic, right, this work from home revolution that we had, almost completely people relied on a lot of meetings and a lot of calls, right? So at this time, a calendar became really important so that people could sync their schedules together to ensure there are no collisions. So now that's again from a productivity app point of view. Now let's imagine and let's think about the IT service desk side of things. So even in IT service desk, we have a calendar and we have multiple technicians who are working, right? And there are times where technicians are unavailable. So let's say a technician is taking a vacation. So during that time, he's unavailable, and your IT supervisor or your IT admin needs to go ahead and make sure that there is a backup technician assigned, so that any ticket that might be assigned to this particular technician who is unavailable is automatically routed to the backup technician. So SLAs, they do not wait for anybody's vacations, right? So to ensure that SLAs are not violated in any way, and to ensure that you are completing and resolving your tickets on time, it's important to keep a track of your technician unavailability. And it's important to sync these calendars together to ensure that information is accurate across both your collaboration apps and your service desks. So with this integration, you can actually sync your help desk leaves with your Outlook calendar and vice versa. Now this the integration with the Outlook calendar is a bi-directional integration. So anytime you create a leave, or you add a casual leave or any other unavailability in your service desk plus scheduler, that will automatically and immediately show up on your Outlook calendar as well. So now, since Outlook, your Microsoft calendars are synced between your different accounts. It'll also reflect on your Microsoft Teams calendar as well. The Microsoft Teams calendar and the Service Desk Plus integration is actually one direction, is unidirectional. So any leave that you mark in your, or any time off that you mark in your Service Desk Plus application will reflect on Teams, but unfortunately at this moment it does not work the other way. So if you want to create this bi-directional integration, it's with the Outlook calendar. Okay, so the roles and permissions required for this integration is again the same thing, and that we saw earlier, which is the SD admin and the Azure Global Administrator roles that are required for your account. And the operation supported, like I just explained, is the ability to sync leaves between your Microsoft Calendar and your Service Desk Plus calendar. You can add, edit, and delete actions, and they are synced across your calendars. So now let's go ahead and see how this works. So I'm going to show you how we can create a leave application, and it is, or time off application, and it is going to sync in real time to your calendars. Let me first show you how the integration can be set up before I forget about that. So we just click on integrations, and over here you can just enable these integrations right from here, and if you have the right roles associated, you can easily set up your integrations. So you can enable the actionable messages for Outlook over here. You can connect your Azure account over here as your Microsoft Azure account as well, and then the Azure AD user sync, your Microsoft calendar over here as well, and you can configure details right over here. And just like that, you can set up the integrations. It is really simple. So over here I'm just going to go to the home tab and click on scheduler, and over here my schedule quickly opens up, and let's say technician over here, the technician is going to mark himself as unavailable on October 1st. So let me go ahead and click on mark leave, and technician Muthu is going to mark himself as a casual leave over here, and in comments I'm going to add vacation. Let's go ahead and save this real quick, and we just got a notification immediately. Let's jump to the Outlook account, and we see that notification, it notifies us that a leave event has been added. Let's jump to the calendar over here, and we can see that October 1st has been marked as a casual leave. And with this, you can easily see that your schedules are synced across your collaboration app and your Service Desk Plus application as well. So now we saw how this works from Service Desk Plus, and like I said, this is going to be synced across your Microsoft calendars, and we see Friday October 1st has been marked as a leave event over here. So now let's see how you can create a leave event from your Outlook calendar and see how it will be added to your Service Desk Plus instance. So let me go ahead and mark October 5th as a leave event. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new event, and over here you need to remember a couple of things. So for this leave event to be added into Service Desk Plus, you need to ensure that it is an all-day event, and you need to mark the category as away. Only if you do this, it will actually sync properly into Service Desk Plus. So please remember about these two things. It should be an all-day event, and the category needs to be marked as away. So I'm going to go ahead and type vacation over here and click on save. So let's go back to Service Desk Plus, and we see October 5th currently has nothing over here. Let's just go ahead and refresh the page, and now we see that an unavailability has been marked over here for the technician Muthu. So we see that it is a casual leave from October 5th to October 5th, so it's a one-day leave. And we see that the title is marked as vacation, and we can see that this leave entry has been added from the Office 365 calendar. Really simple, right? So that's how you set up this integration, and that's how this integration works. So basically, we are trying to make it easy for you to schedule, to sync your schedules across your business applications and your Service Desk Plus instance. And for your technicians, and it's easy for them, they just need to add a leave applications either from Service Desk Plus or from their Outlook calendar, and your IT admins or supervisors can easily identify the technicians that are unavailable and ensure that they are backup technicians set up so that your SLAs are not violated. And that is it for the Microsoft Calendar integration. Next up, let's look at the Outlook add-in for Service Desk Plus. So the Outlook add-in is, let's say, a more advanced version of what we saw earlier with the actionable messages. So in case actionable messages don't give you enough information, you can use the Outlook add-in. And over here with the screenshots, we can see that we have a lot more ticket actions that you can perform. So basically, you can convert emails to tickets using corresponding help desk templates from Outlook. So you can choose the template and then create a ticket using this add-in. And you can also reply, edit, add notes, and view your help desk tickets all from Outlook too. So now let's go ahead and see how this works. To set up this integration, you actually need to go ahead and add the application in your Outlook. So you just go ahead, search for the application and add it over here. So now let me show you how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and click on any one of these emails. So let's go ahead and click on this email. So this is the ticket that we just created on Teams right earlier, which is the Wi-Fi is down ticket. So the way you access the add-in is you just click on more actions over here, and you can get the Service Desk Plus for email add-in over here. And you can also pin it to your email so that you can easily access it right from here without having to click on more actions. So let me go ahead and click on the add-in and see how this works. So right here, we get more ticket information over here. So we see that unlike actionable messages, where if you want more information, you need to click on a button which will open up the details. Over here, I can just easily see all the details just by clicking on the add-in. And I can see the ticket details and also the history of the ticket and see all the actions that have been performed on this particular ticket. And I also have these actions over here. So I can edit the ticket, close, pick up, or assign this particular ticket to a technician. And if I select back over here, I'm taken to a list view of all my tickets over here. So I can go ahead and filter this to see the view that I want, and I can scroll between them, click on these tickets and get more information about them. And you can also create an email into a ticket by clicking on the plus symbol over here, and then you can choose the template you want for this particular ticket from the templates that are there in your configured in your service desk. You can add all your ticket details over here, and then you can go ahead and create a ticket right from here. And that is how the Outlook add-in for Service Desk Plus works. Again, it's really simple, and but it gives you a little extra information that you want for your technicians or your end users right from here. And that's how the Outlook add-in works. And now it pretty much brings us to the last integration, which is SAML single sign-on. So for this integration, we're going to be seeing how the SAML works, how you can set it up in both Azure and Service Desk Plus so that you make it again a seamless experience for your employees, for your requesters, your technicians, so that they can easily use their AD credentials to sign into their Service Desk Plus account as well. So now the operation supported for this integration is it provides a centralized user management from Azure AD portal, and you can control who can access Service Desk Plus Cloud right from your Azure as well. And you can also allow your users to access Service Desk Plus Cloud with their existing Azure AD credentials. So in this way, your users, they don't have to remember two separate login credentials. They can just log into both applications with the same credentials. Um, so this integration has a couple of prerequisites that are really important. So the first thing is you need a valid Azure AD subscription. You also need a verified domain for your Service Desk Plus Cloud. And finally, you need a Service Desk Plus account with users already imported from your Azure AD. So these are the three main prerequisites. And to configure your SAML SSO, that's your single sign-on, there are a couple of steps that you need to follow. So the first thing is you need to add Zoho as an application in your Azure AD portal. Next up, you need to configure and enable your SAML single sign-on in Azure. And then with the details that you get from your Azure, by configuring your SAML sign-on in Azure, you're going to go ahead and authenticate your SAML for Service Desk Plus. And finally, you need to add users to your SAML Soho application so that they can access their single sign-on and so that it works for them. And by that way, you can also ensure that you have control over who can access your Service Desk Plus application. So the roles required are the same for this as well. You need the Service Desk Plus SD admin role or and the Azure Global Administrator or Azure Applications Administrator role. So this is pretty much the same for all of the integrations that we saw today. And now let's go ahead and see how this can be configured. So I'm going to go first of all to the Azure portal. So over here, I'm going to click on the Azure Active Directory, and you need to scroll down to Enterprise Applications. So over here, the first thing you need to do is add Zoho as an application. So click on New Application, just go ahead and type Zoho, and you will get this application over here. So you need to go ahead and add this. So I've already added it to my instance, so I'm not going to do that right now. So let me scroll down to Zoho application and let me show you how you can enable SAML sign-on for this. So we click on Zoho and then we go to this option over here, which is single sign-on. So I'm going to click on single sign-on over here and this window opens up for me. So over here, I'm going to configure my basic SAML configuration over here. So the sign-on URL, my relay state, my logout URL details. So I'm going to give it over here. And once you configure that, you can get your SAML signing certificate. So Azure is an identity provider and you can get the details right from here. You can get your federation details and you can download your certificates from here. And next up, we'll get these. These are important. You will get your login URL, your Azure AD identifier, and your logout URL, which you need to add to your Service Desk Plus SAML authentication for the single sign-on to work. So now let me go to Service Desk Plus and show you how you can configure this. So we're going to go ahead to the ESM directory over here. Just wait for this to load in. And I'm going to go down to SAML authentication. And like I said, a verified domain is required. So please ensure you have a verified domain. And then you can go ahead and add your identity provider login URL, your logout URL, and you can also add the certificate that we just got from Azure. And you can, by doing this, you can authenticate SAML and set up your SAML single sign-on. But don't forget the last step is to go ahead and add your users. So we're going to go back to this Azure and click on users and groups. And over here, I'm going to add the users who can access the single sign-on. So once you set them up and assign them over here, only then they can access their single sign-on. Yes, their SAML single sign-on for Service Desk Plus. And that's how you configure this. Pretty simple, right? And that pretty much brings us to the end of the session. Let me just give you a quick recap of what we saw just now throughout the session. So first of all, we saw the Teams, Microsoft Teams application, and we saw the integration and how it works, how you can perform various ticket actions right from your Microsoft Teams chat window. And next up, we saw actionable messages for Outlook. So this is helpful for those who exclusively work on mail, their Outlook inboxes. So just from their email, they can go ahead and perform actions using the graphical user interface buttons within the email. Next up, we saw the Microsoft Calendar, how you can easily sync your schedules between your collaboration apps and your IT service desk as well. And easily your IT service desk can keep track of technician unavailability, and technicians can mark themselves unavailable either from the Service Desk Plus application or from their Microsoft Calendar as well. And Finally, we saw the SAML authentication, SAML single sign-on authentication, how you can configure it and enable it for your users so that they can log into their Service Desk Plus application using their same Azure AD credentials. And that's the end of the session. Thank you all so much for attending the session. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you too will be able to go ahead and use these integrations to connect your collaboration workspace with your IT workspace to build a cohesive workspace that improves your employee experiences. And I hope to see you all in the next masterclass session. Thank you all so much and have a great day and stay safe.